Good monitoring of what you're seeing on your camera is the most crucial thing for any videographer at any level. And I'm sure we've all seen those big productions where they have a huge director's monitor and thought to ourselves, wow, one of those would be fantastic. You go online, you have a little check, and you realize that they are mega expensive. Well, what if I told you that now, if you are a Sony user with a MacBook, you can get this for free? Kinda. Let me explain. Okay, so I'd just like to ask a quick favor of you guys while here. If you could just do me a favor and hit that like button, it would do me the world of good. I am so close to 1,000 subscribers now, and if you hit that like button, it will just help me get this video out to a few more people, and then I can get those followers or subscribers a little bit faster. Anyway, back to the video. Okay, so recently Sony released a Mac version of the app they've had out for a while for monitor and control. Obviously, for monitoring and controlling your Sony cameras. It was initially out on the iPhone, then they brought it out on the iPad, and now they've brought it out on the Mac. So any MacBook that you have can now be a giant monitor and use all of the control functions, which is pretty good. Now, there are caveats, and I'll get to those later, but first of all, what can it do and what can't it do? So at its very essence, this app allows you to turn your MacBook into a giant monitor. And that already seems pretty good. The fact that you can have a much bigger screen and see a much clearer picture. Mac screens are incredibly good. And I would say, probably better than some of the things like the on-camera monitors that you can buy. So as well as being a giant monitor, it allows you, as the name suggests, to control your camera. Basically, most of the functions which you can access on the back of the camera can be accessed along the bottom there. There is a great big long bar, and you can use the trackpad to slide along it essentially, because there are more than what it's displaying. So as we've all got used to on most on-camera monitors nowadays, it has lots of assistive tools, and it has a pretty good range of them. It has a menu list that you can access by going up to the top left and flicking down of all of the assistive tools, kind of like your zebras, your focus peaking, and all sorts of other assistive tools. Now, you can select 3 of them as your favorites and check mark only 3. I don't know why it lets you only have 3. There's plenty of space for more, but you can only have 3 as quick access buttons along the top. But to be honest, using the menu isn't that much more time consuming than clicking them straight on the top there. So I'm not really bothered. They're all pretty good apart from one. I would say the false color one that they use on the monitor control app is trash. It is not good. It is really low quality, and I don't find it at all helpful. I have a false color LUT, which I'll make another video on my actual FX3. It's a third-party LUT by another YouTuber, which I've loaded on there, and I can use that. And also, if I'm using an on-camera monitor on the actual camera, I can use that as well. But apart from that, all of the other tools are pretty fantastic. And one that I actually quite like is focus mapping. This basically allows you to have a picture-in-picture. So you'd have your main feed of whatever you're shooting, and then you have focus mapping on, and it brings up another window. Anything that is not colored, anything that is just how you are seeing it on the monitor, on the actual feed, means it's in focus. Anything that is blue, I believe, is in the foreground or out of focus, and anything that's red is in the background that's out of focus. I may have got this completely wrong the wrong way. Basically, it just allows you to quickly, at a glance, check and see that you're in focus. I like that. I also like using the focus peaking. Either of them are good. Horses for courses, whatever suits you, but there is a nice amount of tools overall with this app, which just make it kind of nice. Now, in the top left of the screen, you can see that there's some information about your frame rate, what file number is, which would be useful if you were using this monitor as a DIT, and also how much time or space you've got left on each of the cards. So also down on the bottom of the screen, if you go to the controls there and you slide as far right as you can get and click other settings, it will bring you up a whole bunch of other settings starting from the top right, and that'll be like what gamma you're shooting in, what picture profile you're shooting in, and a whole bunch of other settings. Also kind of useful. Maybe you won't need it all the time, but it's handy to be able to flick that up and just have a quick look and check. Now, not everything with this app is fantastic. Like I said earlier, the false color absolutely sucks and is unusable. The setup was a little bit confusing. There's not much online I could find about this, and actually I went through a bunch of other people's setup videos and eventually found what I needed to do. But it didn't seem like there was a whole plethora of information out there, or Sony wasn't very forthcoming with how to set it up. If you want to set it up for Wi-Fi, you need to first connect the MacBook that you are using to a Wi-Fi router. Then you connect your camera to the Wi-Fi router, and you need to make sure that remote shooting is on there. And it's like PC remote or something, which is weird because there's no PC involved at any stage of the actual setup. But you need your PC remote shooting on, you need the Wi-Fi on, and then you need to go into the options in network and connect. It will be different for different cameras, but with the FX3 you went into network and you go and choose the Wi-Fi network and router that you are using and type in the password, and then it just connects. Once you've got that up and running, your MacBook app will, when you open it, will see your camera. So when you select your camera and press connect for the first time, you will be asked to enter the authentication information. Every camera will be different, but for example on the FX3 you can find this by going into network, down to network option, and then in the menu there's a thing which says access authentication info. Click on that, and then there will be a username and a password which you then type in on your MacBook, and bam, it's connected. Once you've done it once, it doesn't need to be done again. Okay, and so the last annoying thing with this app is that they do hold back a bunch of features for paid subscriptions. There is 2 paid subscriptions, and I don't know about you guys, but I hate paid subscriptions. I think they suck. This is one of the reasons I wanted to get rid of Adobe and go to DaVinci Resolve. I don't mind paying for things, but I don't want to have to keep these subscription models that just rinse more and more money out of you on a yearly basis. Now for me, the subscriptions just wouldn't be of any interest, primarily because the things that they offer I don't think are worth paying for. Snapshot allows you to take a picture of your feed at any time, and it will put all of the settings and metadata about that at the bottom. So that could be helpful for some, but for me, I don't really care. I'm so used to shooting in the exact same settings all the time. I'm either shooting 120 FPS or 24 FPS, and it's always in S-Log3 with slog3.cine, so I don't really need to know. It might be helpful for somebody else, but for me, it seems like a bit of a useless feature. The other main thing which the subscription allows you to do is have multicam. You can have any amount of cameras, up to about 20, connected to the app, and it allows you to monitor them all at the same time. Now, I don't need to live monitor different cameras because this does allow you to connect to multiple cameras, but you can only be using one at a time on the free plan, whereas if you have the paid plan, you could have like several of them all up. So if you're doing a lot of live streaming maybe, and you have lots of different Sony cameras all around places for live streaming, maybe you have an overhead, a wider shot and a tighter shot, and you want to flick between them while you're live streaming, this could be for you. And here's a weird thing. Sony allows you on the iPad app to do multicam in the free version. So personally, I don't see why anybody would ever need to pay for that, but entirely up to you. Alrighty, there you go. So what did you think? Personally, for me, I think this is going to come in absolutely clutch, because there's lots of times where I'm filming these YouTube things around my house, or if I'm out at a job and I'm happen to be somewhere near a Wi-Fi network, it's going to be clutch to be able to bring my MacBook, crack it out, and get a much bigger picture, because when you've got it connected to the Wi-Fi, it means you could walk around the room, and while if you're a one-man band like I am most of the time, it will allow you to then just be setting lights or moving furniture or generally getting everything set up while having this giant screen which is easy to see. You don't need to squint down at the actual camera or be anywhere near the camera. You can leave the camera on stick set up if you're setting up an interview, and then you can wander around with this, either moving light frames or moving lighting into place or taking stuff out and set dressing a bit. So I think for that, it's going to be super clutch. Is it ever going to compete with an actual director's monitor? No. But then again, if you're in a situation where you're going to be needing a director's monitor on a big production, I'm reasonably sure you're going to have budget or have one of those director's monitors at hand. Okay, so there you go. If you like these kind of filmmaking tips and gear reviews, you know where to find me. There's a couple of buttons down below there. Like and subscribe. Give them a whirl. Until next time, guys. Peace.